Diana, can you help me? I want some help getting to my next goal for our channel.
Yeah, sure. What's your goal?
Well, I'd really like to break triple digits and hit 100 subscribers. I know that's a low bar for the long term, but it seems attainable on a reasonable timeline right now.
Aren't you doing your last video on goal setting today? What does the science say about effectively reaching your goals?
Well, I actually haven't taught the lesson yet. I was going to do that right after talking to you.
We'll go through your lesson first, silly, so that we have anything to talk about. Then we can show the people how to apply what you taught them by going through your goal as an example.
That sounds remarkably reasonable. I thought you were supposed to be the voice of cynicism.
And cynics are often the way we are because we're very knowledgeable. Meanwhile, you are far more patient with people, which is why you teach the lessons. Speaking of, you better get to it. Chop chop.
All right, well, roll the intro music. Hello, and welcome back to Black, White, Gray, Yellow. My name is Diana, and this channel is all about communication, connection, and resilience. Today, we're wrapping up our discussion of goal setting, a resilience skill that helps build self-regulation, one of the 6 things resilient people have. As a quick background on me, I'm a master resilience trainer in the United States Army National Guard. I also served 13 months as the state resilience coordinator at my state's Joint Force headquarters. This series is based on the research behind the skills taught as part of that program, replacing proprietary material with references to open source research and books. So you can share these videos freely. If you want to see more, be sure to like and subscribe. In preparation for some people setting New Year's resolutions, the last 3 videos have all been about goal setting. First, we talked about SMART goals, developed by George T. Duran in 1981. Then we talked about how to stay motivated to achieve our goals, referencing self-determination theory, developed by Drs. Richard Ryan and Edward Deci. In our last video, we discussed the interplay between values and goals, leaning on Dr. Russ Harris's book, The Confidence Gap, which describes the basics of acceptance and commitment training. Today, in my last video of the year, we're going to bring it all together and talk about our cyclic or iterative goal-setting process. Okay, now I feel the need to clarify before we even get started. When I present this process, the goal is not to turn what you already do intuitively into something overly formal. The point of presenting a process is to introduce a crawl, walk, run bit of instruction. Just like if I were to explain the process of how to tie your shoes, the goal is for it to end up being a fluid, almost unconscious action, not something where sticking to the process becomes more important than what the process was meant to accomplish. The process is a tool or a guideline to help you identify how you can improve upon what you're already doing. And after some crawling and walking, it should ultimately not slow you down. I say this because there are places where a formal process has taken over in a workplace and been implemented so rigidly that it seems that sticking to the process is more important than whatever the process was originally meant to accomplish. As an example, my husband works in software development and has some strong opinions about the Agile framework, particularly Safe Agile. My understanding is that most people who work with it have a strong opinion of it one way or the other, and I'm willing to bet that whether or not you like it, if you work with it, depends on how it's implemented in your workplace. If it's built into a system that feels pretty natural and intuitive, I bet you love it. If it isn't, I bet you hate it. So when we talk about a goal-setting process today, please keep the shoe tying analogy in mind. We're going to slow everything way down to a crawl to talk about what goes into it. Then we'll go through an example at a walk, and the goal is for you to internalize the process so that you can do it at a run. Okay, end a tirade. Most cycles or iterative processes involve a few key steps: preparation, application, assessment, and refining. In The Confidence Gap, Russ Harris calls this the confidence cycle, or how to get good at doing anything. 1. Practice the skills. 2. Apply them effectively. 3. Assess the results. And 4. Modify as needed. From my experience in the military, I know that the Army's troop leading procedures similarly involve preparation steps, application steps, then end with supervise and refine, which includes that assessment and modification as needed. And from my experience in the world of information technology and information security, I know similar processes that include planning, deploying, assessing, and with supervision and monitoring, then lead back into the same cycle again. I'm sure your industry has its own version of this too. The reason I say this is because goal setting is no different. We set a goal, we plan for it, we apply our plan, Then we assess where we are and repeat the cycle with appropriate adjustments as needed. That adjustments as needed step is especially important in goal setting because goals are frequently moving targets, and even when they aren't, we're rarely going in a straight line toward them. So the first step is to identify the goal itself. Where do you want to end up? This would be a great time to implement SMART goals, whether George Duran's version, appropriate for a team setting, or a more modern version like the one we talked about with attainable, relevant goals. Then, the second step is to accurately assess where you are now in terms of that goal. Accuracy is important here so you can also accurately track progress. Seeing progress is way more motivating than almost anything else, so don't worry if the where you are now isn't a pretty picture. It just means you have the opportunity for lots of progress ahead of you. Okay, so most people at this point would make a plan for how to get from point A to point B, but this is where the research taught me something new. Before you make your plan, and don't worry, you will, the third step is to identify what obstacles stand between you and your goal, and what skills, knowledge, or experience you need to gain in order to overcome those obstacles. Let me say that again because this was pretty mind-blowing to me when I first heard it. Instead of just going, okay, I want to lose 5 pounds and I'm currently this weight, so let's go do a weight loss. Instead, first take a second to understand what your obstacles are between you and your goal. Is it a lack of knowledge on how to lose 5 pounds? Is it a lack of knowledge on how to cook or how to exercise in a way that fits your schedule? Is it a lack of skill in time management? Is it that you're already doing everything right and just need to give your current plan some time? Identify what skills, knowledge, or experience you need to overcome your obstacles, and then go into figuring out your plan. The science behind this advice comes from decades of research, a lot of which is available on a website called whoopmylife.org, where WHOOP stands for Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, and Plan, a simplified version of this larger process. Just wishing for desired outcomes won't help you achieve your goals and can even work against you. But acknowledging realistically what your obstacles are and developing a plan to overcome those obstacles has been shown to be extremely effective in helping people achieve their goals. So then, when you're building your plan in step 4, focus on each of those obstacles and the skills, knowledge, or experience you need to gain to overcome them. In other words, instead of just building a plan to march directly from A to B, build SMART sub-goals with action items targeted at those obstacles. If the goal is to bake a cake, it can be overwhelming if the action item is just to go do it, bake a cake. Instead, break the goal down into those obstacles and make action items to overcome each. Find a good recipe, gather the ingredients, determine and acquire the necessary equipment for combining the ingredients and baking the batter, then follow through and go do those things. Focus on the process, on the actions or ingredients that will get you over those obstacles and to the end result, rather than on the end result itself. This becomes especially helpful if your goal is in something like sales, because this takes the pressure off the end result, making you far less likely to self-sabotage. I talked about this in some of my earlier videos as well. Another advantage of doing this is making sure your SMART action items are things entirely within your control, like giving so many good presentations a day, rather than on things partly or entirely outside your control, like making a sale. Step 5 is then to follow through on your plan. I said we're slowing this way down, so making your plan and applying your plan are 2 different steps here, but naturally you're going to want to flow from one to the other. So just focus on the small daily actions that will help you to build those skills, knowledge, and experience you need to overcome the obstacles between where you are now and your overarching goal. Various self-help resources refer to this as WIN, or what's important now. Or, as the saying goes, the way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. As you're doing this, step 6 is to lean on your values to maintain your motivation, especially for longer-term goals where there is a longer process of overcoming those obstacles to get to your goal. If you can eventually internalize that motivation even more to the point that you start to identify with the behavior, achieving that integrated regulation, as Ryan and DC would call it, all the better, but that isn't necessary. If that term doesn't make sense to you, you can watch my video on motivation and goals, or just don't worry about it. Then the last step is that supervise and refine step, that monitor and adjust as needed. In other words, it's the assessment step, figuring out whether or not we've met our SMART goals, and then making adjustments. These could be adjustments to the goal itself or adjustments to our approach. And then, because the process is cyclic or iterative, this is followed by starting over at step 1 to redefine the goal, which may or may not have changed, redefine where you are, which likely has changed, redefine the obstacles remaining between you and the goal, etc. Thus goes the cycle. So now it's your turn. What are some of your existing goals? Are they SMART goals already, or do they need some refining? Where are you in relation to those goals now? Importantly, what are the obstacles between you and your goal, and what skills, knowledge, or experience do you need in order to overcome them? What are some SMART sub-goals you can set that will help you gain those skills, knowledge, or experience? When the going gets tough, what values are relevant to your goals that will help you maintain your motivation? And when do you plan to reassess to see how far you've come and whether or not you need to adjust your approach? Diana, I finished my lesson on goal setting. Are you willing to help me with my goal now?
Yeah, sure. Tell me your goal again.
Well, I'd really like to break triple digits and hit 100 subscribers. Again, I know that's a low bar on the long term, but it seems attainable on a reasonable timeline right now.
Well, what's your timeline and how many are you at right now?
I'm at 85, so I'm close, but I feel like I've tapped all the friends I'm going to get, and now I need genuine growth by viewers who might not know me. I'd like to hit 100 by, I don't know, maybe the end of January.
Okay, and why is increasing your subscriber count important to you?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Well, I guess it reflects on my desire to make a positive difference. Yes, the more people that are subscribed, the more people my video reaches, but I think more importantly for me, subscriber count is how I can measure the quality of my content and how I know I'm actually putting out work that people value and want to see more of.
Great. Well, I'm glad you're able to be honest with yourself. So, what's standing between you and your 100 subscribers? What skills, knowledge, or experience are you lacking right now?
Hmm. Well, I mean, I guess I can always get better at producing content, but my metrics say that my click through rate is pretty low, and it seems like maybe new viewers aren't always watching my videos all the way through. So I think I need to get better at my thumbnails and my intros. I also know I need to get into YouTube Shorts to start reaching a wider audience. And my microphone clipping at the beginning of my sentences drives me nuts, and I'd love to find a fix for that.
Hmm. Well, I can give you one easy win. Here, have a new microphone. This one doesn't have the clipping problem.
Wow, thank you. Well, that was easy.
Yep. Thank your husband. He gave it to me. But see, achieving goals doesn't always have to be difficult. As for your other obstacles, let's start with the thumbnails and intros. What are some SMART goals you can set that will help you with those?
Hmm. Well, I'm sure there's software out there for helping make better YouTube thumbnails. I can look into that. Maybe by the end of January, I'll have experimented with at least one new thumbnail editing program and made some new thumbnails with it. And I bet I can easily find dozens of videos on how to make better YouTube intros. So maybe in the same time frame, I'll watch at least half a dozen of those.
Good, good. And what about getting into YouTube Shorts? What's a SMART goal that will help you with that one?
Well, I imagine the process will get faster as I get better, but there's nothing for it but just to make the first one. I'm sure I can make several based off my existing long form content. So by the end of January, make and post a short?
That all sounds very reasonable, and it will help you achieve your overall goal and some better metrics and more subscribers. So, what do you need to focus on immediately?
Uh, Finding and watching those videos on how to make better intros, looking up some candidate programs to try that can help me make better thumbnails, and choosing some easy content I can make a short from.
Great. And when the going gets tough, maybe you lose track of time and don't accomplish all those actions by the end of January, or maybe when you've done all these things and you still aren't seeing the results you want immediately. How can you leverage your values to help you maintain your motivation?
Well, I know some of these things take time. One of my core values is kindness, so I'm willing to be kind to myself and acknowledge that even if I'm doing everything right, I may just need to keep doing it and keep getting better for more time. And it's also okay if it takes longer than I expected for the same reason.
Is that actually going to be motivating to you when things aren't going your way?
In a lot of cases, it probably wouldn't be, but yeah, I think in this case it will be. I'm still so new at this, it's easy to be more forgiving. But I'll definitely need to see some growth eventually, or I'll take it as a hint that what I'm doing just isn't appealing.
Okay. So when are you going to check back in to assess your goal and sub goals to see if you need to adjust anything?
Um, yeah, I think the same time frame by the end of January. That gives me about a month. And I'll update my goals at that time if I need to.
Well, it sounds like you have a plan.
Thanks for your help, Diana.
Anytime, Diana. You know it's weird talking to yourself, right?
I never said my goal was to be less weird.
Touche.
Goal setting is an important skill for resilience, helping us build self-regulation. But self-regulation isn't the only thing resilient people have. Resilient people also know how to fight the negativity bias by looking for the good. So if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check out my video on that skill that fights stress and builds optimism. And that's all for this video. Until next time, my name is Diana, and this has been Black, White, Gray, Yellow.